Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, going to be talking through a couple player props I like on Prizepicks for today's NFL slate on Christmas Day. Hope you guys all have a good Christmas. I did want to come on and give you guys some props that I liked for today's NFL slate. We do have three games on Christmas Day. We have a game at 1 o'clock Eastern, and then a game at 4:30, and then a game at 8:30, I believe. So three games. It's going to be fun to watch these games during the day. We do have Christmas Day NBA as well. I do plan on making a video for NBA that'll probably go up sometime later tonight, but I wanted to go ahead and get this NFL video up because there's already a good amount of NFL props on the board, and I do have a prop that I like from each game, so we'll have something to sweat out from each game. Three props to give out in this video. Before we do talk through these plays though, guys, as always, if you guys do enjoy these Prizepicks videos, make sure you hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have an account over on Prizepicks, you can use that promo code NOAH. When you do sign up, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. I do want to say right now, Prizepicks, they do have a free square available. This is going to be available until the end of Christmas, Christmas Day, for the Suns and Mavericks game. There's a free square available. Kevin Durant, 0.5 points. Obviously, take the over on that while it is still available, and then pair any picks you like with that. It doesn't have to be NBA picks. It can be NFL picks. You can pair the picks I give out in this video with that free square if you haven't used it yet. But did want to shout out Prizepicks. Make sure you guys get over there. Use that free square while it's still available. And again, if you don't have an account on Prizepicks, use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up to get your first deposit matched up to $100. And I do also want to give a quick shout out to Sleeper because we do have a partnership with Sleeper as well. If you guys don't have an account over on Sleeper, you can sign up for Sleeper, use that promo code NOAH, get your first deposit matched up to $100. And if you don't know, or excuse me, not up to $100, up to $500, Sleeper, they do match your first deposit up to $500. If you guys don't know what Sleeper is, they are an app similar to Prizepicks. They're similar to a lot of the other DFS pick'em apps you see around the industry. You're picking over or under on player props, player projections. You have to make at least 2 picks on Sleeper, but you can make up to an 8-pick entry. You can win up to 100x your money. Sleeper does offer a lot of the major sports like NFL, NBA, MLB, college football, all that stuff. So if you guys want to check them out, again, sign up, use that promo code NOAH over on Sleeper and get your first deposit matched up to $500. But yeah, guys, let's talk through this Prizepicks slate and what I'm liking for Christmas Day. Hopefully you guys did tail the 2 picks I gave out for Saturday's slate. There were 2 games on Saturday. And I gave out 2 props for those games. We hit both those props. The over on Tyler Boyd's fantasy score, cashed that, and we also hit the over on Joshua Palmer, 3.5 receptions. Hopefully you guys tailed those 2 picks I gave out for Saturday. Let's try and hit both these picks for Christmas Day, or all 3 of these picks, I should say. So yeah, let's talk through them. First play I like, we're gonna start off in the first game of the day, which is Chiefs and Raiders, and we're gonna look at Rashee Rice. We're going to look at 2 props here that I like for Rashee Rice. I think both these are fine. I like both of them. We're going to look at 8 targets, more than 8 targets, more than 6.5 receptions. Both these props I have an interest in. If I had to pick one, I think I do side with targets for Rashee Rice. If Rashee Rice winds up getting 7 receptions, I think there's a very good chance he also gets 8 targets. And I could definitely see a scenario where maybe he doesn't get 7 receptions, but still gets 8 or 9 targets. So I like targets a little bit more for Rice, but I think over on 8 targets and 6.5 receptions is good. Right now on TK Sportsbook, they do have Rice favored -140 to go over 6.5 receptions, so he's pretty heavily favored to go over his reception prop. If he goes over that reception prop, again, I think he's got a very good chance of going over his target prop. But if you look at just the volume for Rashee Rice lately, pretty much over their last 4 games, he has had elite volume. 10 targets, 9 targets, 10 targets, 9 targets. 8 receptions, 8 receptions, 7 receptions, 9 receptions. Rice has pretty much been their number 1 wide receiver just over their last few games. He played a season high 92% of the snaps last week. He has clearly established himself as the top target, as a top target for Patrick Mahomes. And even as of late, Rice has been getting targeted more than Travis Kelce. Like, Rice has been the number 1 guy for Patrick Mahomes lately. He played a season high 92% of the snaps last week. This is just too low of a line, in my opinion, for a guy that's going to be out there for 90+% of the snaps, playing for a team that loves to throw the ball. The Chiefs are one of the more pass-heavy offenses in the league. Now, they will be getting back Isaiah Pacheco for this game, and I think with Pacheco back, maybe they won't go as pass-heavy, but I still think it's a pretty good spot here for Rice. The role has been amazing lately. He's favored on DK Sportsbook to go over his reception prop. I think both these lines are low on Prizepicks, receptions and targets. He's gone over in 4 straight. He's gone over on both in 4 straight. But again, if I had to pick one, I think I do side with targets over receptions. It's up to you. You can pick whichever one you like, but I like the targets a little bit more for Rashee Rice. The role's been amazing lately. The snaps are increasing. He's pretty much playing every single snap right now, and he's playing for a great quarterback that is going to target him plenty. I like his chances of getting at least 8 targets here. So that's the first prop I like for Christmas Day for NFL. Next prop we're going to look at in the next game is going to be Tommy DeVito. We're going to look at Tommy DeVito's fantasy score of 13, and I do like DeVito to go over 13 fantasy scores. So if you look at DeVito's game log as of late, he's gone over this line in 3 out of his 5 most recent games. And I do want to highlight these 5 games specifically because these were all games that Tommy DeVito was the starter. He wasn't the starter early on in the season, but he's been their starter over their last 5 games. Gone over this in 3 out of 5. The 2 misses were kind of tougher matchups against the Patriots, a pretty good defensive team, against the Saints, a good defensive team. Well, this matchup's really good for DeVito against the Eagles. The Eagles have been one of the worst pass defenses this season. The way you beat the Eagles defense is through the air. The Eagles have been a very tough team to run on, so I could definitely see this being a spot where the Giants have a tougher time running the ball, and they're going to have to rely on their passing game. And you look this season, the Eagles are allowing the second most fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. And DeVito, he's had a good, he's had good volume as a quarterback. He's actually been able to go out there and throw the ball a good amount. He threw a season high 34 pass attempts last week. Now, that was a game against the Saints where they were pretty much trailing for the entire game. But that could be the same scenario here against the Eagles. I mean, right now the Giants are 13.5 point underdogs here on the road against the Eagles. So this is probably going to be a game script where the Giants are going to be playing from behind. They're going to have to throw. And if you look at DeVito's props this week, he is pretty much projected for close to 200 pass yards, which if you don't know how fantasy score works, if you're new to fantasy score, just click on scoring chart right here, and you can look at how the scoring chart is calculated. If you've ever played fantasy football before, Prizepicks uses the same fantasy football scoring system that pretty much every fantasy football league uses. It is full PPR on Prizepicks. But DeVito's projected for around 185 pass yards, which would be about 7 fantasy points, 7 to 8 fantasy points. He's projected for 27.5 rush yards. That is one thing to note, is that DeVito, he's had a lot of rushing upside this year. I mean, he's been a pretty good runner. He ran for 71 yards against Green Bay. He ran for 36 yards last week against the Saints. Getting quarterbacks that have rushing upside, it just makes their fantasy upside higher. Obviously, their floor is higher as well. But DeVito's projected for 27.5 rush yards. So when you combine his pass yards prop and his rush yards prop, that's going to put him at around 10, 11 fantasy points. And then if you look at DK Sportsbook, he is a massive favorite, minus 200 to throw at least 1 touchdown. So if DeVito throws for around 185 yards, if he runs for around 25 yards, if he throws a touchdown, that's going to put him over this fantasy score line of 13. It's going to put him about a point or 2 over this line. Now, sure, he could maybe have an interception, which obviously he would lose a point for. If he gets sacked and fumbles and they lose the ball, sure, he could lose a point for that. But I definitely think this fantasy score line of 13 is a bit low on DeVito, especially with how he's been as a starter. I mean, he's not been terrible. This is a game where the Giants are going to be playing from behind. They're going to have to throw. And again, the way you beat this Eagles secondary is through the air. They've been one of the worst secondaries in the league, one of the worst pass defenses, allowing the second most fantasy points to quarterbacks. And I was looking at some projections kind of around the industry. Sleeper, they have their line on DeVito set at over 14. And the DFS projections that I use, they have DeVito also projected for over 14 fantasy points. So I definitely think this line should probably be 14, 14.5. I think 13 is a bit too low on Prizepicks. So we're going to take Tommy DeVito, more than 13 fantasy score, as our second play for today. And then third and final play, we're going to go to the late night game. This should be a really good game, 49ers and Ravens. And we're going to look at Brock Purdy's fantasy score. This line is set at 17, and I also think this line is a little bit too low. So I like more than 17 fantasy score for Brock Purdy. You look at Brock Purdy as of late, he has been great. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this season. I'm pretty sure right now he's the favorite to win the MVP. He's just played incredibly well. Now, Brock Purdy has been super efficient this season as a passer. He's only completing 15, 16, 17 passes, and he's getting, 25 fantasy points on just 16, 17 completions. So that type of efficiency is definitely not sustainable for Brock Purdy. But you look at his props this week, I mean, this is kind of a similar situation to DeVito. This line on Purdy at 17 just looks too low when you factor in all of his props and what he's projected for. So his pass yards prop is set at 250.5. So if we project him for 250 pass yards, well, that would be 10 fantasy points. He's projected for 6.5 rush yards. Purdy, not known to be a scrambling quarterback, but he can run. Like, he has had games where he's run for 14 yards. I mean, he's not a major rusher, but he can get you 10, 15 rush yards. So let's just say we project him for 250 pass yards. We project him for 5 rush yards. Well, that's going to put him at 10.5 fantasy points. And then if you look at DK Sportsbook, he is heavily favored to throw 2 touchdowns in this game. He is minus 160 to throw 2 touchdowns. And if we project him for 2 touchdowns, well, that would be 8 additional fantasy points, and that puts him at around a 18.5 fantasy score line. And then you could, let's say he throws an interception. Well, you take a point off. I mean, that still puts him over this line. That still puts him at 17.5 fantasy score. So I definitely think 17 fantasy score on Brock Purdy is too low here. Sleeper, looking at their lines, they have Purdy set at over 19 fantasy score. And the DFS projections that I look at also have Purdy projected for close to 19 fantasy points. So I definitely think this line of 17 is a bit low on Prizepicks. The matchup here might not be the best. The Ravens have had a really good defense this season, really good pass defense. But Purdy has a ton of weapons in this 49ers offense. They've been super efficient, through the air this year. I still like the spot for Brock Purdy, even though the matchup might be tougher, even though this might be one of the tougher matchups he's run into lately. I still would expect him to play well here. I like his chances of going over 17 fantasy scores. So these are 3 props, guys, that I do like for the Christmas Day NFL games. Again, we've got a 3-game slate of NFL games on Christmas Day. This is going to be a lot of fun. Excited to watch these games. We'll have some NBA going on as well. Again, I do plan on making a video for NBA. That'll probably go up sometime later on Saturday or on Christmas Eve night if I can get it up. But I did want to go ahead and get this NFL video up because we do have a good amount of props up. So these are the 3 props, guys, I like for NFL on Christmas Day. Rashee Rice, more than 8 targets or more than 6.5 receptions. I like both those props. Tommy DeVito, more than 13 fantasy score. And then Brock Purdy, more than 17 fantasy score. If you guys are going to tail me on these 3 plays, let's make some money on this Christmas Day slate. Let's get a little bit of Christmas money. That would always be nice, obviously. But appreciate you guys watching the video. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you guys don't have an account over on Prizepicks, be sure to sign up for Prizepicks. Use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code. But that's all that I got for tonight, guys. Good luck on this Christmas Day slate of NFL games. Let's make some money on this one, and I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.